What's up, everyone? This is In Camp Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Hepler. Today on the show, I had a live in person discussion shortly before we had a cookout up at my place with a Mr. Howie Miller. You've probably heard Howie on a couple other deer hunting podcasts, and let me tell you, this guy really knows the ins and outs of the whitetail woods, and he's kind of a wealth of information, and I think it's a cool thing when you can learn some like, I've never had a long sit-down discussion with Howie before about deer hunting, so I think it's cool when you can take bits and pieces from everybody that knows something different about the whitetail woods or sees it through a different lens. So I think this is cool. I got to sit down with Howie. We talk about summer scouting, maybe a little bit of land management, a lot about Howie's background and growth in hunting and how he's really just starting to understand, man, I just want to be outdoors on the woods and water as much as possible and learn a few things about the things that I love. So it's a cool conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. At the end of the show, be sure to subscribe, share it around. I'd really appreciate it. Leave a review if you feel like it, but just keep coming back for more. That's the important thing. And for whatever we've got going on, you can check us out at incamp_podcasts on Instagram. And be sure to check out where Howie tells you where to follow him. He really has a lot of good content that he's putting out. So check that out. I'd appreciate it. This is In Camp Podcast. So, what is your background in the outdoors?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Like I grew up, my dad hunts, but he's not big. He's like, rifle hunter. He had an old bow, and we would shoot in the yard, but he's not really like a bow hunter, He,
Yeah.
he would go out, but growing up, like my mom had me young, so I kind of grew up with my grandparents. My grandfather on my mom's side was just ate up with hunting,
Okay.
but he was a mountain hunter.
Yeah.
Dinner, we'd sitting around, he'd always be talking around the mountains, and he'd be sitting there, and there'd be deer heads on the wall, and there were mountain bucks, nothing huge, but I'd always be like, "Oh, that buck there, tell me that story." And he always like gravitated talking about the mountains, so I was intrigued by hunting the mountains. However, we were fortunate enough to have permission to hunt a good farm that we could like ride a four-wheeler to from the house,
Cool.
and it kind of spoiled me early on because we had tree stands, like fixed stands set up everywhere,
I know the vibe.
and you could just
I did that.
pick a stand and you'd see deer, and some nights you'd see multiple bucks. And like I remember, man, I was shooting well, and my uncle, my grandfather, and my grandmother were big into shooting bow. They shot for the local archery club, and they would travel all over, shoot for the state, and they'd shoot dot competition
Oh,
and
cool.
3D. And then when I was a little kid, they drugged me out there and had me shooting, and did pretty well at it. And then grandfather tore his shoulder up and got out, and then that whole thing kind of fell apart, and we never really went
Yeah.
after that. And then so we went, when I go hunting, I remember I only had like a 10 to 15 yard pin on my bow, and I'd see all these deer at like 20 yards,
Yeah.
and just sit there and watch them. Then I'd be missing them and getting buck fever and all wound up. I was like, even I don't, I don't know what the statute of limitations is or whatever, but like my grandfather, I was supposed to be sitting with somebody,
Mhm.
but he was selfish and he didn't want me to mess up his hunt. So he took me with him like 2 times. And then after that, he's like, "You're on your own. You
Yeah.
just go hunt." And then like I remember, you know, 10, 12, whatever. I'd be like, I hunted with him when I was 8 and 10. And then like at 12, I'm hunting by myself. I'd be afraid of the dark.
Yeah.
Like I'd go into this real thicket and go up to the tree, but then I'd be coming down and he'd be like, "Oh, geez, you were out of prime time." He's like, "You need to stay in there till dark." He's like, "You're down the road already." And yeah, so and then but all that, like I just got ate up with it. And to the point where like once I got through school, I didn't want to play sports. I
Yeah.
just wanted to be in the woods bow hunting.
Yeah.
And I always had this thing in the back of my mind about the mountains. I always wanted to hunt the mountains like Pop Up did. And when it was set up that when the owner of the property's mom passed away, it had to get sold.
Okay.
So it got sold off, and we lost that farm um around '08, '07, '08, like right in between, like that the season of
Yeah.
'07, I guess it was. And I was just like graduating high school, started going on hunts and stuff then. So I was going to North Carolina. I went to Texas that year. I was having like an awesome year. And ended up killing like my last buck on that farm. And then the following year I was going up mountains, and I went out the first day, a rifle, and I didn't really know nothing about the area. I went in one time, thought I had a spot picked out, because up there everybody has their spots.
Yeah.
There's old guys who'd be like, all right, here's my stump. I've been sitting here for 15, 20
Yeah, they
years.
have the old like log wooden blinds, maybe.
Yeah, and it, like they'd sit like on the top of a hollow where they could see down wide open woods. And over the years, like all that stuff like started changing. There'd be more logging going on, and like the deer would change, and they weren't traveling that way anymore. They were
Yeah.
traveling in the cover or
But the
to the,
old guys didn't change.
and they're like, oh, there ain't no deer up here. So I come up, I'm like, I'm gonna go out to that spot, look good. And then start getting daylight. I'm not in my spot yet. And then when it gets light, I'm nowhere near my spot. I'm out there doing circles, probably push deer to everybody else, you know?
Yeah.
And then that's when it's like, no more. I will be up here learning this.
Yeah.
And then I kind of like became addicted to a default where like I would like quit work to go hunting, or I took like seasonal jobs,
Yeah.
and I would go up to camp, and I would be there for like 4 or 5 weeks, and I would just be walking the mountains, walking. And that's why like now I shouldn't be, how should I say it? Because I want to say I get a little lazy or a little lackadaisical, because I kind of fall back on some of that old stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like, because if I got stuff going on my property, I'm like, well, I remember these old areas that I went, and there was deer there then, and I should, because like I'm just trying to shoot a respectable PA buck.
Well,
You
it's
know?
easy, right, right. And it's easy to hunt off memory, especially when you've had a good hunt in a place.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, like, we're gonna keep going with with your background, because I love listening to it. It's
Yeah.
so cool, because I think it's one thing that I'm really enjoying about doing this podcast is I'm trying to just learn things about the people, because the people are what really make the hunt.
Yeah. I mean, all these podcasts, people like talk big into tactics, but it's only kind of like surface level, because you got to dig back the layers like of an onion. Because
Yeah.
wow, did you get to that point?
Yeah. And everybody's, you could have your strategy that works for you, and it's not going to work for somebody else. Like, pieces and parts of it will,
Right.
but I bet you didn't build your strategy off listening to one person talk.
No, and it was kind of funny because go back to the farm, we had all those stands set,
Yeah.
wooden stands, ladder stands,
Yeah.
and then I had a climber, and then I started like mobile hunting, or like I would just get down out of a stand and go over to another one. And I was like, before the mobile hunting was even cool or whatever,
Yeah.
I was doing it. And I didn't even like consider it to be mobile hunting,
Right.
but like I ain't nothing moving over here. I want to make something happen. I'd go down and go up another stand, and I'd shoot something. I'm talking like forkies or,
Yeah.
but I didn't care. I was just basically putting a notch in my belt at that point.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
after I started getting these deer under my belt, my uncle, though, he would sit on the same stand, and it was every year he would shoot a nice buck.
Mhm.
He's like, yeah, you'd kill a better buck if you just stayed where you're at. But I just couldn't do that,
Well, we're not wired that way.
And
Our
but I was like,
generation is not.
I'm like, hey, I got my buck. I got it. I worked. And yeah, so then it was always like a kind of a competitive thing between me and him.
Yeah.
He'd always shoot the big one, but he had that, it was 160 or 180 acres, one or the other. But not every spot's going to be a good spot, and
Right.
he had pretty much the good spot nailed down. Now there was a couple other good spots on the farm, but
He had the right funnel.
yep,
Yeah, sometimes even, I mean, deer learn where their stand is eventually, but occasionally there's a funnel that they just can't figure out.
yeah.
You know, what was your mobile setup then? What kind of climber did you use?
I don't know if it was a Baker or what the heck it was.
I had an old loggy Bayou
And then it was a Tree Lounge.
tree lounge. Yeah,
Oh, that freaking thing!
you sleep in those.
It was awesome for rifle,
Yeah,
but like for archery, it had this goofy stand and had all these screws, and you had to like. It's funny. I laugh now because you go back and you're like, you gotta look at the tree, the size of the tree, figure out how high you're gonna go, and then figure out what slot you gotta put your screws in.
yeah,
So when you get up there, it's gonna actually have your stand level.
right.
But it's like a diving board, because that thing sat where the platform was, it was so far off the tree,
Yeah.
and you'd stand up out there and it'd be kind of like
Yeah.
teetering a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, and then like and I remember one time I went, then like the straps on that were, it was just like a a flat,
Yeah. That's how
there was no
that's how they all
padding.
were.
And
Right.
I, go a mile. I could never do that now because it'd kill my shoulders. But I went way back in. I left at like 1:30 or 2 in the morning. Way back in, got up on this top. I was so excited, and I was setting it up. I got the bottom on, I putting the top on, and I stood on the climber part, and then I bumped the like the top part of the stand, and it flipped and fell down and hit the bottom, and
Oh,
it's all metal. It's
yeah.
I didn't see nothing
I
that day.
remember going out with my uncle a couple times. The old log bayous. Same thing. They had like spring loaded pins that you would. There was like a metal sheath that you would pop the spring loaded pins into,
Okay,
and the stand would be like completely unlevel. And as you would go up the tree, it would level out, and then you could lock it in and stuff. But I used to make so much noise in those, and we always hunted these small, like 5 or 7 acre properties, and we would still see deer. I don't know if they didn't care or what. I mean, they kind of like had an idea of where you were at because
right.
we would pick the same trees all the time, but it was the same kind of deal. But I don't really remember, and tell me if this is accurate for you. I don't really remember a time where I wasn't in the woods or fishing or doing something
Well,
like that.
and yeah, that I kind of missed that part. There was like a state park behind the house, so when I grew up, I'd get off the school bus, throw my backpack down.
Yeah.
I'd grab either a 22 or a pair of snippers, and I'd walk down, and there'd be trails back there, old logging roads or whatever. I'd walk
Uh-huh.
down one side, trim that trail open, and then go as far as I could, and then come back the other side and trim that open.
Yeah.
Or I'd be shooting stuff, and I used to save like milk jug caps, Gatorade caps, the
Yeah.
soda caps, and I'd go down, hang them on limbs. And my grandfather, I mean, like I was blessed looking back. He had cases of 22s and cases of shotgun shells. And when I used to
Yeah.
do chores, he would pay me in bullets. Like pick up apples in the yard. Right here, here's a box of bullets. And I just blast them away, blast them away.
Yeah.
You shoot them already. Jesus. All right, here's another one. And as I got older, he didn't really care. I think he just liked to see me doing it.
Yeah.
He would just give me like a brick.
Yeah.
Shoot him up. And like that, like led over into my rifle shooting and stuff. Like I knew a lot of my buddies, and I'm not like trying to brag or anything, but they would be missing all the time. And I still miss, but I didn't miss a lot. And a lot of that goes back to I had a BB gun growing up too, like BB gun. Then it was 22, and it was just shoot and shoot and shoot. And then, I remember he used to make me arrows, the old aluminum arrows, and I'd aim for the knock.
Yeah.
I don't do that no more. Now I'm
Yeah.
paying for them, but he'd get pissed. But he'd be out there, he'd be scraping the vein off and the glue off the knock, and he'd make another one up for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, so he was like the big inspiration for me to like. He kind of like fed it.
Yeah.
Like I needed boots, he'd buy me boots, and
So then we get to a point where you go through high school, like you said, you didn't want to play sports. I wasn't even, I played music
I
and
played
stuff.
football my senior year just because I'm like, this is my last year to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But then I guess where did you kind of grow when you got into like after high school? Where did you kind of grow in your deer hunting there? Did you hunt the mountains a lot after high school?
yeah, so that kind of when it started. I remember those first couple of years as being lost because I look back and I'm like, all those stands, Pop Up put those stands up.
Yeah.
They weren't my deer.
Right.
Like I didn't earn those deer.
Right.
And then, but I do remember like making observations, and he'd be like, "Where are you seeing the deer?" And I'd be like, "Well, they come out of there, or they come out of there." Where do you? Because we're going to build another stand over there. I'm like, "Well, over there." So that's where I see most of them. So we would build another stand over there. So then like there'd be stands like 40, 50 yards apart, and I would bounce back. That be up in the mountains, and like when he was hunting mountains, it was just spike bucks.
Yeah.
But he was the guy that would go up. He would take 2 weeks in fall turkey season and hunt turkeys, But then he would do all the scouting. So when everybody came up to camp, he would tell them where to go. He was like the guide. And that's who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I wanted to be that guy,
Yeah.
you know. And so I would just do all my time and like up there trying to figure that out. And I remember I'd get frustrated and I'd try and like, he was hunting back in the 70s, early 80s, and
Yeah.
it's totally different now.
Yeah.
And it took me a little bit to kind of figure that out. But I remember calling him, and I always call him at the end of the day, tell him what I've seen, and trying to ask like for advice. I remember sitting there at this lot where I had service, looking on this hillside, the mountain, and I'm like thinking to myself in a tree stand up there, and I'm like, the odds of a deer going by me, it's like I'm like a pimple on an elephant's ass,
Yeah.
like it's a mistake for a buck to go by me,
Right.
and I'm like I got to really start figuring this out at a different level. And then like the obsession just kicked in then, and it was like I said, it was like a default. Like 'cause once I got it in my blood, I would go up for like 4 weeks. There was no way I was just going to go up for like a week anymore. It
Right.
was so hard to like accept taking a normal job
Yeah.
and then having to do that. So, and that, I mean, that kind of led to a lot of my success because of the time I was putting in, where most guys was like only had weekends or maybe that first week,
Right.
and I'd go up for like the whole season,
Yeah.
So it was kind of like an odds kind of thing, and they were in my favor because of the time I was putting in.
Yeah. There's nothing quite like the PA mountains, is there?
Oh no, it's just, I mean, I, I don't, I love it as much now, if not more, because now I appreciate it so much more knowing that I'm getting older and I don't have the time like I used to just to wake up or see the woods wake up in the morning and the mountain come to life. It's just, it's so cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back then you would think, I know we're having this conversation, and I know there's probably a 25-year-old listening to it like, that's not going to be me. I'm going to be bloodthirsty until I die.
Yeah.
And it's not, you're wrong.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm,
if that's you listening to that, you're wrong, right?
yeah. I used to be that way, and I'm starting to kind of,
I mean, let's be real. I want to kill a buck.
yeah.
You want to kill a buck. I want to bring meat home. I want to bring a nice rack home. Respect. And like you said, I'm not like in it for a record. I
Right.
don't care about that. I want to have a good time. I want to bring something home, but man, I want the experience.
Yeah. And that's to me now, I really like shooting does because it's meat, it's fun. And then I like my buck, I got meat, so I'm going to sit back and wait because if I shoot the buck early, I'm done.
Yep.
And I'd rather hunt as far as I can,
Yeah.
and
When you kill a buck, is it hard to go back out? Like you could be doing other things.
um,
If you let's say you kill a buck first and you've got 5 doe tags in your pocket, is it hard to go back out?
oh no,
You're good to go?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I like to at least fill 2 more of those tags, and then it all depends on what's going on. I mean, and that's another thing I actually wanted to get into with summer scouting because sometimes it's not about the scouting for me. It's getting everything done so I can go hunt.
Right.
Like my chores and stuff. They're like, because my place is so far away, I want to make sure it's good to get like all my firewood's cut and do all the chores. And then, so I'll write a list of like big major things I want done. So that way, when hunt season comes, I don't have to adult, like I could spend the time out there.
Yeah.
The roof's not going to leak, the doors are not, sealed up. I'm not losing heat out of the door, whatever.
Yeah.
But then I'll try to make some other things under that maybe aren't as important. But, when you're sitting out there and you're getting your ass kicked and you're not seeing any deer, and then your mind starts thinking, well, geez, I'm wasting my time. I got all this other stuff I could or should be doing. And then the mental game starts kicking in. You start playing head games with yourself.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I should get out of here and go back and do some work and get some things done because, like, I don't know, I'm being irresponsible. And then it takes you away from like the moment and being focused.
Yeah.
So like, I want to try and get as much stuff as I can off that list done so I can just focus on hunting.
Yeah, that's a valid point, man. And I'm glad you brought up this, brought up summer scouting again, because we'll kind of dive into that because we broke the ice. I think we're talking about some good stuff here.
Yeah.
So do you have a large piece of property?
I have 63 acres.
Okay.
I bought it,
And is it nestled into public or are you
no,
close
no,
by?
it's yeah, it's close, but, it's all, like, farm country.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I bought it with 38 acres in the beginning, and then 25 acres came up for sale behind me, in 23, and I was able to make that purchase.
Oh, so cool.
So I did yeah, it was, like, meant to be.
Yeah, that's real cool, man. So when you're talking about this experience and like, okay, summer's here, I'm sure you spend as much time as you can up there. So you're learning probably all year long. You don't really need to learn a lot during the summer. But you do have to do that adulting stuff when you have a camp like that. Like, you're doing food plots and stuff like that, I'm sure up there. Yeah.
Yep.
But when you don't have those chores done, it's like, oh, I'll go spend 3 days up at my camp and, you know, but when you're there, then like you said, you have all those responsibilities
And
because it's something that you invested a lot of money in.
another thing too, I wanna say probably so I'm going into 8 years with the property now. All, like, the holiday weekends, Memorial Day weekend, 4th of July weekend, Labor Day weekend, those were, like that's when I get my woods work done because of
Yeah.
the longer weekend. And I'm kinda drifting back away from that because, like, I wanna start having some fun,
Yeah.
like, everybody else is out doing stuff or whatever, and, like, I'm out in the woods just, trying to find deer and stuff, and I've been missing out on a lot of other things.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I just always took advantage of those opportunities to spend the time in the woods. But, um, like I said, all the years that I've been doing it, I'm kind of just more or less relying on past knowledge now. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not giving up. I'm not going to not go out, but I do want to start having a little more fun and enjoying my property because there's so many days, you know, you get off work late, you get up there, it's 10 o'clock, you open up camp, you get everything unpacked, it's 10, 11 o'clock at night, you get up before daybreak, you're out in the mountain, you come back at dark. I'm like, I might as well just have a shed because all I need is something to crawl into bed at the end of the day. I don't need all this.
Yeah.
And there's days I like to just want to have coffee out on my porch and watch the deer walk through the back field,
Right.
and actually enjoy my property. So, and I will do that occasionally, like on a
Well, I
Sunday
think
or
I
something.
think the good thing is like you've gained a lot of knowledge. So I don't think scouting is as much about this. I mean, when you're in the postseason, you do your, shed hunting, your scouting and that like February, March, whatever. But then after that, a long period of time goes by, and instead of scouting, you learn the habits of the animal, right?
Mhm. For
So
sure.
so instead of being like, oh, okay, so this year they kind of went through this funnel, and if the food plans out this way, then and you're trying to put all these puzzle pieces together, you just have to learn the animal.
Yeah.
Because if you learn the animal, you'll start to know, like, for example, you can learn almost any animal and figure out how it uses its habits, right? Like my dog will wake up at 5:30 in the morning during the school year because we always wake up at 5:30 in the morning and it always happens right before the alarm goes off, right?
They know, like,
And
it's
the first thing they want to do is whatever the first thing you've been doing with them for the last 2 weeks was. And if that routine changes, it takes a while for it to happen. So there's things that you learn about deer the same way you might learn about your dog or your cat. When their habits change, those are like a transition for a deer, right? Like summer to fall or summer to like early fall, from early fall to mid, to late fall. The deer are always doing something different, becoming, more active during the
yeah,
daylight.
like, once mid-October hits, I say they change every week because
Right.
you go like, it's so hard for me to drive up there, get on deer, come home, and then go back and then try and be back in front of them again.
Right. But I bet you that you get on deer because you know deer, not necessarily because you knew where they were at last time.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know what I mean? Because maybe the weather pattern's different and you can use those memories like, hey, the this type like some Octobers we have 75 degrees in the beginning.
Yep,
Some
it's
Octobers you get like first couple days where it's not that. And the deer almost be like, oh, hey, what's this?
uh-huh.
I'm gonna transition into into late fall because it's freezing, and you can hunt a late fall pattern on October 3rd, or maybe in reverse, you're hunting November 1st and it's 80 degrees, and we've all done that, and it's kind of like the same thing, but you learn those habits of the animals, depending on the weather. You already know the property. You don't really need to. It's not, I mean, it's obviously important. I'm not here telling people it's important to scout, but it's really important to learn the animal that you're hunting versus where it was last.
That or like, yeah, in combination with the property because you're learning how they're using it, using that landscape.
Yeah.
And that's like, that was the biggest thing for me. And that's helped me out so much of just by walking those mountains all over, like different, not the same way every time. Like I want to go in, I want like, okay, I want to be at 1800 a day, walk that. Now I'm going to try 1600. And then you start connecting dots and finding these heavy trails and start following the trails back. And then you start finding like thick pockets. And then, all right, now you can start eliminating the wide open big wood stuff and you can
Yeah.
start getting back into that cover.
Yeah.
And then it just keeps building. You're like building a house, but you got to have a good foundation
Yeah.
to construct and keep going up from there.
Right. So if your property is your vacation home, you know where you left your forks in your vacation home. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I guess what I'm getting at is you can enjoy sitting on the porch and having a cup of coffee and not worrying about scouting that day because you kind of know the property, you know the animals that you're hunting, you know the habits of the terrain that they're using on your property or whatever property you're hunting, and you get to go fishing or get to do something fun. It's worthwhile.
Yeah, there's so much outdoor activity to do up there, and I'm like stuck on one. And it's like I want to start getting into I picked up the fly rod the other year. I've been getting more into that, and that's something I've been wanting to do more of, or to do more crappie fishing, or like they say, the fall bite is really good for crappies. And I've been
Mhm.
dying to try that. I just so hard to deviate from deer to
Yeah.
go.
Well, and this is something I've kind of like started to come around to in the last couple of years as well because growing up I did everything, man. Like I fished, I hunted rabbits and squirrels and pheasants and deer and ducks and
Well,
everything.
that's another thing, like the small game hunting,
Yeah.
like that's fun
And
stuff.
it's all fun. So there's a point where it comes like, do I want to shoot a big buck? Yes, I do. So I'm going to do a few things on my arsenal that put me in the best possible advantage I can have to kill a respectable to a good buck, but I'm not going to spend my entire season hunting a 160 buck if I can go do 100 other things too.
Right. It's kind of, I don't know, like for me, if I'm selfish or greedy, but yeah, I want to do it all,
Yeah.
because then, we got bear hunting too. It's
Well,
like,
but have
uh,
you like and social media kind of sucks now, but if you go on everybody's like wants to be a big bad massive buck hunter,
uh-huh.
and then you go on their Instagram page and they've got like all these huge bucks and it's like that's cool. What else can you do?
Yeah,
You
right.
know, like
Yeah, like, yeah, and I want to be well-rounded as an outdoorsman.
yeah.
And I mean, if there was a lot of big bucks around, maybe I would spend a little more time on that. But it's like where I'm hunting, I just, I just accepted it is what it is. And I want to try and get the nicest buck that I can.
Well, and like you said, so when you're summer scouting, we were talking earlier that we both kind of use trail cameras and we kind of set like a trap line or whatever. But with that, you're doing shed hunting is something I love to do, and I'm not doing a lot of other things at the end of February, beginning of March, right? Like the water is, well, maybe the ice is too thin to fish on, or it's not out yet, so I don't put my boat on the water. And I love to find antlers. The
Yeah,
dog loves to
I'm
go.
terrible at it.
Well, I don't find that many. I found like 14 this year, so it's not. I don't find that many, but I like to
I
walk.
found three and they're all on my property, like luck by luck.
Yeah, I like to
But
walk, man. And, I'll go out with the dog. It's something for him to do. He can find grouse and all that kind of stuff. It's fun, right? So I do the same thing. Like I will add, okay, here's my core area. I'll add a little piece to that. Now I know something new. Now I
yep.
know something that some added habit that the deer use or something to a core range. So when I'm going summer scouting and I will, I'll kind of like, okay, so here's some trails, here's some, fresh salad food source or whatever that's kind of new from the last year. But when I'm going out, I'm always trying to look for something new. So, what are the kind of things when you're looking for, let's say you've got let's build a trap line for somebody that's listening to this, okay? We're going to do a 5 set trail camera today, okay? And we picked a ridge. Are you using when you set your cameras, are you using some kind of pattern or are you just going in a straight line?
Um, Not necessarily a straight line, but it's usually like somewhat of a loop,
Okay.
or it might be like a horseshoe,
Yeah.
because
So
like,
you're touching different elevations.
yeah, because like sometimes I might line it straight down the benches at different
Yep.
elevations because like I
Yep.
want to see, is he using this trail at this elevation and then looping back and coming up this way? Is he going south this way and then coming back north on this elevation?
Yeah.
Or like what like, and that's, you learn the area where like I have a couple spots that are say 30 to 50 acres that the nicest buck in that area is going to come through somewhere on that 30 to 50 acre.
Yeah.
So I cluster my cameras in that area kind of. And then once I over the years I learned that they use it. So now I'm trying to figure out narrow it down to which trail I have to hunt.
Yeah.
Or I mean, if the conditions are right and you can find tracks, that'll help you out.
Yeah.
Because like that's one thing I do like about summer, the days are longer.
Yeah.
Like you go out February, you don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
So if you get out, like you can walk an hour at dark and get out when it breaks day and spend all day,
Right.
and you get like 10 hours
Right.
to get stuff done. And you could be more like methodical, like, because it's always like, okay, if I have 5 trail cameras,
Yeah.
you put one down, now I got 4. Now I'm like, oh shit, now I don't know if I want to put this one here or do I want to put it over there? And you got to make a decision. Where am I going to put it?
Yeah.
And then you start getting stingy. You're like, I want to try and find better. And then you end up, you got to either go
You end up
back
with 3 trail cameras in your backpack at the end.
on the way out of the truck. You're like, I should have just put them back in there.
Yeah.
But, and like last year, I put my cameras out and I didn't even touch them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, I want to hunt deer this year and be surprised.
Yeah.
And
I did the same thing.
I didn't like, and that's one, like, I like to get them out late after 4th of July and they could just soak. And then I could go back and pull them and they're not disturbed by my movement, changing the deer patterns at all. Now, not saying another hunter could go through there and mess it up too, but it just eliminates one factor out of the equation. Then I'll go in there. I get nervous around rifle season because that's when I lose, like they get stolen.
Yeah.
I
usually try to.
I'd like to keep them out past rifle season, but if I can, I'll try to pull them around that time, and then I can use that data to see when certain areas get hot.
Right. So if I'm going to put out 5 cameras, I'm probably doing like I usually do the same thing you do. Maybe it's in like a U, or I might stay depending on the area. If it's somewhere where I've gained a lot of history, I might keep it the same elevation. But sometimes when I'm just learning an area, I almost make like a W pattern. You ever try
Okay.
that? So you're doing
No, I've
like
never tried.
you're doing like one elevation, going down to the next elevation, up to the next elevation. So you're getting like when you make a square grid, you're getting a couple different zones. So let's say the the deer don't really prefer this eastern side. You're getting that western side, but you're getting kind of when you put the W like a zigzag like that, you're getting kind of the middle of that pattern. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So sometimes I'll do that. And then I think it's kind of like if you're interested in chasing, like you want to have history with a buck or something like that. I usually do some type of inventory camera where, okay, this camera I know gets freaking pictures every year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I have a baseline of certain trees that the camera pretty much will stay on that tree.
Yeah.
And then I have like what I'll consider a satellite camera.
Yeah.
That I might put off of that.
Yeah.
30 yards, 50 yards, 100 yards. I don't know.
Yeah.
Depending on,
Just trying to build on an area.
But like, because I want, what I'm trying to do with that one camera that stays at that tree, I want to get years of data to know like what days. And I like, for me, there's one spot November 2nd.
Yeah.
That spot, I usually has a nice buck at daylight, you know?
Yeah.
We'll come past there, or it might be like the third, or it's like within that window, you know, in
Yeah.
other areas. Now I'm starting to learn some of them. Not, I might not use it anymore because it's so sporadic or it's all nighttime. So
Right.
I can eliminate that now. So now I'm trying to find another tree. And I'll start trying to build data off of that one spot.
Yeah. Yeah. These are all cool. Trail cameras are fun, man. Like
Yeah.
I didn't regret not using them last year, but they are fun. Like it's fun to get pictures of big bucks because it's easier to get a picture of a big buck than to get one standing in front of you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
uh, what about I guess when you're out, so I take the opportunity. I think the nice thing about this is one thing that I really prefer about SD card cameras versus like a cell cam is because I'm actually taking time to walk around the places that I'm gonna hunt or see what the difference is in the woods, you know? If there's like logging activity that happens or something, you know, some new food source pops up or something like that. What kind of food sources are you looking for in the summer? Any like as far as like, oh, I want to check this out if it's new.
Uh, well, I mean, that's something I learned through since I bought my property, like learning the browse and looking at
Yeah,
what deer are browsing and what, but that's something I need to better myself on is identifying exactly what that is. But
yeah,
if I'm walking in the summer, I'm looking at the ground and I'm looking for something that deer are eating. And
yeah.
I don't know, I like, might not even know what it is, but I just know the deer are eating it, you know? And
Well, I mean, I'm finding like when you're around like clear cuts and things like that, and I've written about this a couple times or whatever, but anytime you get like disturbed ground, something new pops up. So you get like all these like people are always like, oh, they're weeds. But I always look for like pokeberry in the summer. You ever hunt like that? It's like a
is that, it has like it's like a purple,
yeah,
yeah,
it's like
great.
yeah, it's got like a red stalk kind of purplish, and then it's
Yeah.
got like grape looking
Yeah, you
things
shoot a
on it.
deer that's been eating at their ends, and you gun them. They're like the insides are purple. It's
Yeah,
like dyed.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But if the ground gets disturbed, like oh, a tractor drove over this, well, that stuff will grow in that like crazy. And I only started noticing this because I hunted a farm too growing up. And there's one section of woods that like I don't know if the deer were ripping it up in the fall or something, and it was right near a field edge. So all this pokeweed, I don't, you know, because it wasn't in the field, they spray or whatever, but all this pokeweed was growing in the edge of the woods, and there were deer just like flocking to this little patch of pokeberry and just tearing it apart. And then I started noticing it in clear cuts, and I was hunting. We had the season opened a little early the one year. It was like, sometimes it's October 1st or whatever's closest to the first Saturday in October is how the archery season opens here, I think. And um I was hunting I was in the clear cut, and I'd found a patch of pokeberry when I went to hang a camera. And I'm like, well, this might be good because there's water not very far away. There's this. It was a pretty big patch. It was like a quarter acre of just pokeweed growing all over the place. I'm like, well, this might be pretty good. The bed around the edge of this, or just come and feed or whatever. So I was in a tree in the clear cut, and I ended up seeing 6 bucks
Oh man.
on the opener of deer season on public in the middle of a clear cut. And I mean, most of them were tiny, like there were like 3 spikes and a fork horn, but I did see a 115-inch 8-pointer that I was getting.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool. That's something that I look for in the summer is these, because that pokeberry next year wasn't there.
Yeah. That's interesting. See, I need to find some other clear cuts because the ones that I know of, I think they get hammered pretty hard with grouse hunters.
Yeah.
So I don't really have much luck with clear cuts. Um,
It doesn't necessarily have to be a clear cut, but it's like something that you get from summer scouting is like, hey, there's this like
it
fresh
gets
food
and
source
it
that's
gets
going to come and go.
tough because like a lot of times if they're going like a shelter wood or something, you'll get a lot of that early successional stuff coming up.
Yeah.
But then they end up fencing it,
Yeah.
and then like that's why you got to put your time in. Know that's a good thing for summer scouting because if they logged it this year and you're like, okay, and the deer hammered it, and then you're like, I'm gonna just go in there and hunt it, and next thing you know, you walk up, there's a fence
It's
there.
not going
You're like,
to,
oh man, I should have scouted this and figured out that was there, and I wouldn't have wasted my time getting here.
Right, because you might have with these fresh food sources, you might get 2 years out of it, but I think that's probably something that I've when I'm summer scouting, I'm trying to focus on, like, uh, the greenbrier patch in the middle of Big Timber this year is probably not gonna be the same as the greenbrier patch you had last year, you know what I mean? So those are things, and then like see if it's productive. Because if you have a drought year, maybe that stuff died off, or maybe it's not producing leaves or whatever. So that's some pretty key stuff to look at. Mushrooms, if there's like a patch of mushrooms that you see them munching on, that might not be there next year.
Yeah, that's
So
a good point.
you gotta. I feel like in summertime you gotta like hone on that stuff quick, and those are good places to add on cameras at that point in time to, like, learn more from the area.
Yeah, that's a real good point.
Um, and that's, like it's kind of, like, unconventional, you know what I mean? Like, um
Well, stuff like that, if it's kind of like a rarity, you would think that that's going to be more of a draw or more of attraction for them because they know it's not going to be there very long. So they're going to come in and get it while they're getting it good.
yeah,
So yeah, that could be a really good tactic. Because like you said, and then once fall starts coming, you get your frost, a lot of that stuff starts browning up, and then they start shifting.
yeah.
So I key in a lot on acorns. I think I need to do a better job of finding like browse and stuff like that.
Well, browse is good, but I think it's important to know the things about mass crops because I bet you that you know your property pretty well. You probably know, like, where, hey, what years they produce and what years they don't, which ones are better this year, which ones aren't.
I used to keep a journal because I wanted to. I started back in 2011, was 11 or 10, somewhere around there, and then I like stopped
Yeah,
because if I would have done that, now I'd have like 15 years worth of data, and I'd be like, well, every 3 years, these are the ones that drop, and
mhm,
that's what I was trying to do, and then I just got lazy and I stopped doing it.
yeah,
But yeah, that was like, and two, like you got. I don't know if you have a problem with gypsy moths around here, but
real bad.
I remember I went the one year and it's like, oh my God, these trees are just destroyed. And you could just, it was like, it sounded like rain, but it was just a gypsy moth dropping, like the leaves and stuff were coming down.
Yeah,
And it was like a desert. Like it was wide open. All the sunlight was coming down. Or you find where these like ash trees died off.
yeah,
Well, that's so much like a clear cut because all the foliage falls off those trees. Now sunlight's hitting the floor and it grows in thick with all kinds of stuff.
yeah.
And then, but the deer kind of shift, it changes things.
Right, right. So when you do you ever hunt? So the typical pattern is like everybody wants to hunt white oaks early in October, and everybody wants to hunt red oaks later in the season. Is there ever a time where deer are keen in on a red versus a white, like doing the opposite kind of thing, or do you not really find that so much?
Um,
I mean,
well,
because those red oaks have a lot of tannin in them.
yeah, I mean, I think if that's what's available at that time, yeah, because I struggle to find white oaks that are producing, and it's usually it's for me, it's a big giant white oak. Like
Okay.
you want to find that big feed tree,
Yeah.
because like you'll find some of the smaller ones, and I'm talking like 16 inches around or whatever, they might be pumping a couple out. And I think the deer kind of pass through that. But if you find like a big giant, like 3 foot across, 4 foot diameter white oak and it's dumping, it's going to look like a hub.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be trails coming in from everywhere to that.
Yeah.
But it's so far and few between, and it's not something you can like, it's every so many years, it's so sporadic. So
Right.
it's kind of hard to like really key in on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know if I mean, I guess you could. I think you could find a red oak that they're using over a white oak, but it all depends on like I guess the location of it. Because maybe if they're going to that white oak and then the coyotes
Yeah.
start harassing them, now they're going to shift, or maybe hunters or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I never really took notice of that too much.
Yeah. We had one year where it was like everything was chestnut oaks, and they like almost didn't want to eat them. They the shells from that year are still laying around.
Yeah,
You know, I don't know if that's just like a preference thing. I don't know, But that's a good point too, because I think everybody looks for acorns on the ground, but then never really the size of the tree. So around here, everything is oak trees. Like,
Yeah, you
you
can
know,
look and there be like 100 acres of oak.
yeah,
I look at it like that big giant oak, the biggest one you could find. That's like the family restaurant that your grandparents took your parents. Now they take you there to eat, and it's just like
yeah,
through history, it's like instinct that they know to go to that.
okay.
You know?
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. So you should be really looking for those bigger oak trees when you're in a massive stand of oaks, I guess. Because it's, and that, because I tried doing the thing where you're like, okay, the oaks are producing, where are the and you can never like narrow their movement down on finding acorns
Yeah.
because they're just acorns everywhere.
Yeah. Now there's this one spot. It is on the edge of a clear cut. It's like it's clear cut, slight elevation drops down to a bench, and then it's oaks. And if you go in there when it's raining oaks, you'll have fun because you're going to see deer, you're going to probably see bear, you might see turkeys. Like everything is falling through that bench,
Yeah.
and I love when you're sitting there and it's just raining down acorns. But
Do you do anything ever to specifically pattern bear in areas like that?
uh, that's something I want to start spending more time on doing because I really want to. It's been 10 or 12 years since I killed my last bear, and I really want to get one with a bow now.
Yeah, I've never killed one. I killed one bear, but I've never killed one with a bow.
So yeah, and I'm getting close. I usually see them the week before it opens, the Saturday before they open. And
Yeah.
the other year, I put my stand like I was right near the parking lot, and there was like clear cut, and then the state had made some food plots,
Yeah.
and this bear came out, and I'm like, oh my god, it's going to come out in that field. I'm going to have a 50-yard shot. And I would shoot my bow a lot, and that was the only time I would take a 50-yard shot
Yeah.
because it was wide open, and I was shooting a lot. So I was confident in my shooting, but like typical archery, you need a couple more steps. And he got right to the edge and laid down. And there was like some tree had red berries on it. And he was like laying on his back, and he'd reach up and grab these limbs and pull them down. And he's like holding with his back legs, and he's like pulling berries off. And it was fun to watch, but I got all excited. I thought I was going to have my opportunity, and I didn't get it. But that was probably the only time I seen a bear during bear season, with a bow. But yeah, it's so hard to pattern them things. They don't really follow a pattern.
Yeah. That not here. I mean, I'm sure you could get like, okay, if you're hunting in the Poconos and you know that Mary Jane down the street has a bird feeder and the
Mm-hmm.
bear goes from this property to her property and you're sitting somewhere in between, you probably could pattern
Because
it.
like I've found bear trails already because they're usually wider and they're
Yep.
matted down,
Yep.
and you could tell like, oh shit, bear are using this. But I was even finding that it's still hard to
Yeah.
to key in on.
Yeah, they're not easy to pattern, especially because here they're not concentrated. Like there's not a small where bears are, there's not a small piece for them to be on. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
right.
It's all big. They can
You
go
got to be lucky. You need a lot of luck. I mean, find that feed and get yourself in an area like. So I found a spot too where there's white, red, and hickories, and they
okay.
all come
I
together.
like hickory.
And that's kind of also how I was summer scouting, found this spot, started going up over the hill. There was a scrape on that bench, and I seen a big bear.
Mm.
And then I went in there with my uncle during bear season. And I'm like, I seen a bear here in the summer. Now this is a far shot because during the summer to fall, I mean, they could be miles away. Like they usually
Yeah.
don't stick in an area.
Yeah.
Sure as shit. We were spread out, and he shoots. I'm like, I can't believe the bear was still there. And he said, yeah, it was a pretty good one. So I went down over the hill to see if he had blood, and I started finding these big rubs,
Yeah.
some old historical sign. So I
Yeah.
started dropping pins,
Right.
and I went back in there then in the summer,
Right.
and then found like a pinch point. Then I laid out my plan, and that's where I ended up killing my buck this year.
Very cool.
So like like you're using everything you find, and you're just building this never-ending database.
Yeah. And that I think it's a thing where people it's cool to do it this way and build it off of history because you don't necessarily want to hunt off memory. And what I mean by that is like yes, you do want to hunt off memory in some aspects. You don't necessarily want to hunt out of the same tree at the same time on
That's a
the same
trap.
date. Right.
Yeah.
That's a trap. But remember back to last year and like, okay, the bucks were using this particular scrape. Now, if that scrape is open, maybe that's a good memory to hunt off of. But this is where your like in season scouting comes in, or your summer scouting, like, hey, I know that last year the deer were using this trail at this time of year, but hey, this food source that I found this summer was this way a
Yeah.
little
So you
bit.
want to move this.
So because you're not looking to be in rifle range, you're looking to be able to shoot at 15 yard, everybody's wheelhouse,
Yep.
15 yards. That's what you want. So you might have to shift a little bit to learn that. And it's not, you're not trying to be a detective. You're trying to learn how to hunt deer. And you might learn a specific deer, but that deer is also going to follow patterns of other deer. So you're trying to build off of what you know, but not necessarily be a detective and try to figure out like, oh, what's the puzzle that this deer is
Now,
doing?
now, do you like if you go into an area like that and you find a heavy worn trail, do you back off and try and hunt the faint trail,
Usually.
thinking that that's the buck trail, and then you have like,
Well, it might be the type of year, right? Time of year. If it's November 3rd, I'll probably hunt the big trail because does are using the big trail
and
and
the
the
bucks,
bucks are going to be
yeah,
trailing the does. Um, Now there's a place where I've hunted off of just history and memory, and I can sit in the same tree and kill a deer there. But it's like your uncle, right? He could sit in the same tree and kill a decent buck every year. And there are spots that you can do that in. But I think the the better thing is coming back to knowing the animal and knowing what their habit is going to be and what they changed their habit to this year. And now you've built this like you've you've peeled back the layers of the onion, like you said, and you've kind of like increased that area that you're hunting. You kind of learn a little bit more and how to move that next year.
yeah, yeah. I
You'd be
mean,
one step ahead.
when I hunted the farm, I loved the rut
Yeah.
because it was more predictable. Once I started hunting the big woods, since I started till now, I want to say there was like maybe 3 or 4, so 3 or 4 days out of the last 15 years that were like those magical days where you hit it right and a hot doe came through and
Uh-huh.
you had bucks. But other than that, I mean, it's just like a whirlwind because, you can see the doe coming down the trail. Here comes the buck. He chases her. She runs off the trail and out of your life.
Yep.
And you're like, oh my God. But, so now I'm starting to I want to be more of an early season hunter, or like, I really been also like wanting to get one with a flintlock.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I like that last 2 weeks of October are my favorite.
Yeah, I'm starting to lean that way.
Yeah. The early season I struggle with, but I think learning more, again, this comes back to summer scouting, is learning more about what you can use early because okay, we talked about logging, we talked about fences. When you get to that, if you find that summer food source where it's brand new and it's something that's not going to be there next year, or somebody else could mess it up, like putting a fence around it, like you said, I want to hunt that now. And I feel like a lot of that kind of stuff is stuff that's dead by the middle of October. Like those like opportunistic weeds or whatever they happen to be. That stuff ends up dying. So you got to hunt it early. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering, like, is that something I should be doing?
Well, and it all depends too. Like you said, you could have a hot opener or cold. If we get them early frosts,
Yeah.
and then that stuff's going to start browning up quick. And like I
Yeah.
noticed, like down here, we open up early in September.
Yeah.
Well, they're still kind of on summer pattern, and it's amazing what those 2 weeks, how those 2 weeks change the deer. Because like I'll have deer on pattern up there. I'm like, I can't wait to the opener, and you go open that opener and hunt the big woods, and they've shifted.
Yeah.
It's like that within that week. I'm like, son of a,
Yeah. But down here we have that opportunity to capitalize on that, right? Like it might be hot enough and just early enough that you could kill something.
Yeah, I need to start scouting some stuff down here for those first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Because I'm
I
just
say that every year.
I do, and I mean I just love the big woods and the mountains so much that I really kind of gave up hunting down here.
Yeah. Do you know what I hate about hunting in September though? Mosquitoes.
Oh yeah,
There's so many
and you're like trying not to swat at them and stuff.
We
Yeah.
hunted that first day like 2 years ago in that early September season, And man, I came home. I was running a thermocell too. I came home. I had like 80 bug
Oh
bites
my God.
on my shoulder. I was so itchy. My wife was like, "What is that all over your back?" I'm like, "It's mosquito bites. What am I gonna do?" I tried everything I could to not get them, and I still got them.
Yeah, they're nasty.
So we're at a point in time where we've talked some tactics, we've talked a little bit of how to, and every now and then it's good to hear some how to from somebody that's just loves the woods as much as you do. And man, you put in so much effort outside of hunting for deer and food plots. I mean, you're at the gym like a freaking nut. You you work so hard to do all this stuff. But what I really want to do now is I want to talk about some of the stories that you get to enjoy from it. So
Okay.
you killed a really good buck this year, and I want to hear about it.
Yeah. So this was a spot. I kind of found it during that bear season. Found the scrape, and a couple years.
Was there something special about the scrape or the area?
Yeah. So there's a draw. I went up and made a Y,
Mhm.
and I call where that Y is. I call that an island. It's not really an island, but it makes like kind of like a piece of pizza,
Okay.
And I found a scrape on it. I had a good buck on there 2 years before that. And then I'm like, when I found that scrape, it was 300 yards from that island to say. I'm like, I bet I could kill him here if he's still alive. Um, and also prior to that, right in between that island and where that scrape was, like midway in the terrain, there's some trails running parallel
Hmm.
with the ridge or the side hill. I ran a camera on that and had some nice bucks on it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he's probably gonna hit this scrape. I had a cell cam on there, and bear ended up destroying it. So I wasn't getting any pictures.
Oh,
But I'm like, and this is one of those things where I'm like, you know what? This is how I'm gonna learn. I'm just gonna throw a set at that. And like, cause I had a couple of these spots I've been really wanting to hunt over the last couple of years.
yeah.
And I never do because I had a different buck I was chasing or whatever. And I'm like, looking at the weather, I'm like, I think the wind's gonna be pretty good for that. And like, one thing I've been starting to do all day sits
Yeah.
from the beginning of the season to the end. Now I might not be in the same tree all day, but I'm out in the because there's no sense for me to walk an hour or whatever in, come out, and then walk back in somewhere. I take my food.
You're hurting yourself that way.
Yeah, so like I came in from the bottom, and when I dropped down to look for that bear my uncle had shot at, and found that old historical rub, there's like this whole kind of made a second or third point, and all these and it was steep there, so all these trails kind of came together.
Yeah.
So I came up, dropped down into this creek bank, went up the creek a little bit, and then turned and went straight up the side hill where it got steep and set up off of that pinch point.
Yeah.
I'll hunt the morning there, and then at some point I'm gonna go up and hunt that scrape.
Yeah.
So, and it was really dry last year, so it was real crunchy and stuff. So I get in, and I don't. It was like 8 o'clock, and I look to my right, and I see this deer coming around it, and it was a buck, and I made a rookie mistake because still early in hunting, and you got to get them bugs out of your system. And I
Yeah.
reached for my bow real quick because I always want to have it in my hand. And I had it on like a holder on the side of my stand, and I reached too quick for it, and he must have caught movement and turned and just went straight up over the hill. I'm like, oh man, just the way he acted, I thought I saw some horns, but I couldn't tell because there was like honeysuckle and stuff in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it makes sense because I think those big deer are not going to go through that pinch point. They're going to kind of go like skirt that somewhat.
Right.
And I think that's what that buck was doing because there's a heavy trail coming down the hill and then some other like faint trails and stuff was meeting. He wasn't really even on a trail.
Hmm.
So I don't know what time it was. I'd say 10:30. It was breezy that day. October was it 26th or 28th? But anyway, I climbed down, laid on the ground, took a nap on the leaves right there. Had my stand all tore down, and maybe laid there like an hour. I got up and just started hiking up towards that scrape. Once I got to the bench that the scrape was on, I started kicking the leaves to sound like deer
Yeah.
feeding because I'm like, it's just so loud. And I would try and time my movement with the wind gusts. And I get close. I'm trying to like, I always make the mistake of sometimes I feel like I go too far and I don't want to have to like come back,
Yeah.
because of my scent trail or whatever. So I'm like, it's noon. I got time. I'm going to sit here and just stare down through this bench and find a tree that I want to get up in, or maybe I'll like pick that tree and sneak my way up to it. If I don't like it, I could go to another one, but I don't want to have to go too far. And I'm looking at the bench. I'm looking at like how the honeysuckle was on it, and that's where like the hickory, the white oak, the red oak come together, and then it
Yeah.
met like the train kind of dropped. It's like everything was kind of just coming together
Yeah.
there. And then I'm like,
That's the kind of spot you want to look for.
I'm like, I wonder if I should go over there and check that scrape. And I took 2 steps, and I just took 2 steps like walking instead of like trying to sound like a deer.
Yeah.
And a buck jumped up, like he must have been watching me. He's probably like 50 yards away. I'm like, oh man, he tears out of there. And I listen. He doesn't blow. I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. So I just run over a tree of 20 yards in front of me. It was a big oak. And I like to try and have something, like 2 foot in diameter ish.
Yeah.
And I had my .5 lone wolf, but I always like have a saddle with me.
Yeah.
So I'll like hybrid hunt out of that.
Yeah.
And
I have another buddy that hunts that way.
I could see my camera was like hanging off the tree.
Yeah.
I'm like, now I know I'm not getting any pictures off of it, but I could see the scrape. I'm like, cool, whatever. I'll set up. I'm like 25 yards, 30 yards from the scrape, but there's like just the way this lays out, this looks like a good spot. And I was in there about hour and a half, 2 hours. I look to my right and I see these deer going up along the side hill above me, and I have a buck with them. And then they kind of feed off. And then I see some deer come out in front of me, and they kind of come out and work their way up behind that scrape. Then those deer from the top came back over, and they're coming down. And then all of a sudden another deer comes and starts running them around, and it's another buck.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of like disperse. Then another buck comes by, and each time they're getting bigger. Then these deer kind of like, they're feeding and they're kind of running around, and I'm like, well, I'm seeing deer, and like, then another buck comes by. I'm like, well, this is freaking awesome. And I'm smiling. I'm like, I could walk off this hill today and be happy that I was like in the
It's
mix.
such a hunt. Yeah.
And then it kind of quiet down for like 45 minutes to an hour. I look straight out in front of me. Here comes some deer, and it's a giant doe coming in. And I'm like, oh my God, she's going to pick me off. It's only a matter of time. I'm like, I'm on borrowed time now, because them old doe,
They know.
it's like, they'll pick anything out.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to fool her. She's feeding. She comes in, feeding. She looks up at me a couple times. I'm like, here it is. It's over. Goes back to feeding. And I'm standing up because there's some bucks coming around. And then I'm like, I can't stand anymore. I got to sit down. I sit down. Now I'm like a yo-yo up there, up and down, up and down. I'm like,
Yeah.
holding my bow, and I got to get it on my leg and
Yeah.
can't hold it anymore. I'm going to mess up here sooner or later. She's going to pick me off. And now she's like 25 yards. And then these other deer start feeding up over. They're behind her. They're sneaking up through. I see a nice buck go up through after these doe, and he's coming around to my right, but he's like 50 yards. I look to my left, and I see this deer come up, and I just see the rack. I'm like, oh, that's what I'm talking about. And he like I don't know if he was standing down there, but he knew exactly where that doe was.
Yeah.
And he came on a line like right to her, and he starts coming up. And I'll never forget, like, he put his head down, and like when they're getting ready to like lock horns,
Yeah.
they put their eyes roll back in their head, and they put their ears back, and they kind of start stiff legging, they bristle up.
Yeah.
Well, I thought he was going to gore this doe, because that's like exactly what he did. His eyes rolled back, he put his head back, and I thought he was going to like, just, how like they kind of come in sideways, and then they turn and like,
Yeah.
well, that's what he does to this doe, and he does like a circle, and then they kind of run around in a bit of a circle, and then turn and start coming right by me. And I just ripped the bow back, and she comes right down next to me. I think I had like an 9 yard shot. And I hit him high. I hit him in the spine. And then I did put another one in him, but he was done right there.
That's
So there
awesome.
was no tracking. And
I know you always feel bad about that shot, and at the same time, you're like, eh.
yeah, I don't know like exactly what happened because everything really felt pretty good. I don't feel like I rushed the shot, but but I mean, I think he kind of wheeled around there a little bit with that dough, and I seen the one side of the rack where I'm like, yeah, this he gives me an opportunity. I'm not going to pass it up.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking at this buck, and I'm like, well, that looks like the buck I had on camera down on that island 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I, it's close. I don't know if it's the same buck or not,
That's cool.
but I want to send the Joel out to get it aged because it seems like he's an older deer.
Dude, but any like that hunt is awesome. Like all the stuff you got to see, just like the woods be alive like that.
Yeah, I'm like, man, I hit it just right.
Yeah,
And
that's so
then
cool.
it was like 900 yards up over.
What was the date
I don't remember. I have to look back. It was either the 26th or the 28th,
of October?
somewhere around there, whatever that last Saturday was.
Favorite time of year, man.
And I run up, like, text my buddy, buck down. So he comes in with a pack, and like my truck's parked at the bottom, so I packed what I could on the back of the Lone Wolf, and he brought his pack and got what he could get. And we went down over,
Nice.
back down to my truck.
Very cool.
And so I've been doing a lot more packing out,
Yeah,
but
that's the way to do it, man. I got a quarter-mile rule for that.
man, there's something about a buck in the back of the truck and hanging up on the meat pole at camp
Yeah.
and sitting around or have a beer and like because like I get in camp, I might grab something to eat, but I want to go out and look at my deer and just stand there,
Yeah.
and have the light shining on it.
Yeah.
And then like I might turn the light out. I might go back out before bed, turn the light back on, and like just like you're just soaking it up because
Yeah.
it's like this stuff doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah, it is something that you should revel in and take the opportunity to soak the memory in because you're not going to get, I mean, how many deer are you going to get to shoot in your lifetime?
You don't know.
I
And
mean, you could shoot one every year, but it's still not the majority of your life.
yeah,
So it's something you do want to remember and be able to pass on. And I think that's one kind of cool thing about podcasting is that we get to share these stories
and
and then
relive it.
relive it and pass it on. Cause like I want my great grandkids to know, like they might get to listen to this one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get to hear the cool stuff that we get to share and hopefully they get to do this stuff too. I think, you know, our country had some pretty big wins with they were gonna, all the bills that were out to sell off public lands and stuff, and they got shot down, which is pretty cool. And I hope that our country keeps doing things like that, where it's like,
Yeah.
giving
If
us the
you don't have
opportunity.
people and the understanding of like why we do it,
Yeah,
like really in the grand scheme of things, it's like that's kind of the small part of it. It's just more or less, but we're enjoying that land. Like we're out there in the summer walking around scouting and
yeah,
stuff, and it's the killing and all that is just a very small part of it.
yeah. Well, and like you said, when you get to the point where we're at, like, man, I want to do it all. Like, yeah, I want to shoot a really good buck. So, like I said, I give myself the best opportunity to do that. But I do. I want to be fishing. I want to be hunting with my dog and checking things out that are new. I love that.
Yeah, like, when I'm in the ground and like somebody looks at my headstone, I want to be like, he was just a good outdoorsman,
Yeah. Like, the other thing that I like too about it is when you reach in your freezer, it's like,
Oh yeah.
like if well, you shoot a lot of deer, that's exciting too. It makes a great grilling season when you got 4 or 5 deer in the freezer. But then when you reach in there and it's like, we'll have crappies tonight. We're gonna have some deer tomorrow. We're gonna have an elk, and then we're gonna,
Yeah.
beer roast on Sunday. You
No,
know
I,
what I mean?
no, I know, like, listening to you in the prior podcast, how you recently started going to deer camp and like it sparked a new flame. Like, I live for the first week of deer camp
Yeah,
because like that's the Super Bowl to me.
yeah,
Because archery season is selfish and it's like a lone
yeah,
thing for me. I feel like I'm more efficient and successful hunting alone
yeah,
to kill a deer with a bow. And if I do, I'm playing God during deer season. And if I don't, like I'll shoot one with a rifle and I don't I don't care. Like,
yeah. It's so different because would I rather shoot one with a bow? I would have said yeah 100 times over. And technique wise, I would want to kill one with a bow before a gun because it's I don't know. There's just something about drawing a bow back and sending an arrow through one's chest.
Yep.
I love that. But as far as hunting them goes, man, there's just something real special about big woods in Pennsylvania and the opening day of rifle
Uh-huh.
season because it's a culture, man.
Yeah.
Up in those big mountain, I mean, here it is too. Like, you know, here's farm country. And all the farmers are hunting, but it's like busy down here. You know what I mean? Like everybody's still like going to work, and the strip malls are open and all that stuff. Up there, man, it's like there's like two bars and a diner that are open, and then everybody's garage doors are open, and the deer hanging, and the guys are sitting up on the. There's a house that we drove by, and he's like, "Oh, every year, watch this. We drive by. There's three old guys sitting on the porch, shooting, watching the field."
Oh, no kidding.
And like you see them, and the young guys are coming back in from the woods, and it's cool because that's a generational thing. Because at one point, those old guys sitting on the porch were the guys that were coming back into the house, and their grandfather was sitting there.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because you don't see that. Like, it is literally a culture there. There is not one person that doesn't know what's happening. Around here, they'd be like, what's going on? Why is everybody wearing orange and driving around with guns? Up there, it's like, why is that person wearing a suit and ready to go to work? What are they doing?
Yeah. Like, don't they know it's deer season? Like,
Yeah, and it's so cool because the smoke is coming out of every chimney, and there's, like I said, there's just it's such a
it's
cool
cool. Like
thing.
mid or like late week, let's go drive by the camps and you see what deer hanging. And they always have the meat pole, like
Yeah,
where you can see it.
yeah,
And it's like a rite of passage.
yeah,
Oh yeah, he got one. They got one hanging.
yeah. We stopped in at a local, like the local pub the one night, and just like nobody really. I mean, I'm sure there's a few guys that are ripping it up in there, but everybody's got their beer, but nobody cares about drinking. Everybody's like, "Oh, what's going on over there? What's peace equal?" And everybody wants to tell a story. And one guy's like, "He shot a big one," and let me hear about it. It's like it's such a cool environment, man. And I don't ever want to miss that.
No,
We eventually want to get a piece up there somewhere, just like a little shack or something. But
I feel like every young man needs to go experience a deer camp.
yeah,
It's like going back to like my grandfather. It's what he talked about.
yeah,
I didn't have deer camp growing up, and then had buddies that had some places up in the mountains, and it was like invite only. And I first started going up turkey hunting, and I remember like there's no deer sign, and didn't see deer. I'm like, there ain't no
yeah,
deer up here, and then I finally joined a camp, did deer camp thing, and then now I bought my own. Now I'm the host, and I like
yeah. It's so cool.
yeah.
And everybody's complaining about this Saturday opener. Do I like the Monday opener better? I don't really care, to be
Yeah,
completely
I'm
honest.
kind of glad we get into this because
So the thing is I think that the state made some changes based on things that they heard, and then everybody's like, "Oh, nobody wants this." It's like, bro, you and your 10 buddies don't want this. Have you talked to the other 300,000 people that are, or 800,000? I'm sorry, people that are buying a license? I don't know.
I kind of miss the Monday opener
I missed the Monday opener.
because for and only because like if I guess from my perspective and deer camp, I feel like it kind of hurt camp culture.
It's different.
And I just I don't care either way. Like I'm gonna hunt, and in the beginning I was all about it, but now that I'm getting older, like it's rush, rush, rush all year long at work, and now it's have Thanksgiving with the family. Rush, I got to rush to camp, get it fired up, get ready for people to come in,
Yeah.
and we're hunting the next day.
Right.
And like I would rather go up, have fun. We could go together, go grocery shopping,
Yeah.
get our food for the week, and have a couple days actually together and
Yeah.
relax. Or even if they would like start it on a Sunday, just
Yeah.
give us at least that one day kind of a break to slow down.
Well, everybody complains about like, oh, well, the kids have school Friday and Thanksgiving. Like, I mean, I think it would be a good idea for people to go early too, because, unfortunately, Thanksgiving's on Thursday and then you got Friday. But I think there will be, um, people end up adapting and figuring things out.
Yeah.
I do miss the Monday opener, but I never had a camp like this. It was like,
See, like
We're like,
that,
can't wait to get through
and that's
Sunday
one
so I
thing
can
that like
Monday.
really made me actually fall in love with with camp because when we first started going up, it was Monday,
Yeah.
and we would get all of our food together and hang out, and it'd be like guys coming in, and we'd be cutting it up, and then we start camp hopping.
Hmm.
And then there's like these goofballs down the road that are like funny as hell. And this guy's a character and he has a bear story, or there's a big buck hanging on the wall. And it's like, let's go down and see Larry and hear the big buck story.
Yeah.
And every year you look forward to hearing that same damn story.
Yeah.
And then like you just laugh and laugh, laugh as loud and as hard as the fifth time you heard it as you did the first time.
Yeah.
And, and then now like we don't really get to do that unless we're tagged out or something, or, they
Yeah.
might be hunting or I miss that. But
I think that's an important aspect because um just hunting isn't really what it's about. I mean, the like you obviously love the hunt,
yeah,
but the camp part is the fun part of the opening day. And I think there is, there's got to be some kind of shift in the culture where, hey man, maybe everybody's just staying up late on Saturday
yeah,
night to go say hi
yeah.
to each
Like the
other
other
or
thing
something.
too, like I feel like it's a priority thing, like I know every year it was Monday and I want to do whatever I can to hunt. And I like the fact because when I started, everything was closed
Yeah.
because like, it was such a part of culture. Like you could work or whatever, but we're not showing up.
Right.
And now it's like, oh, well, now you got Saturday and Sunday, so we're not giving you off Monday. So
Right.
now we're going to lose that
Right.
because it's like, well, now it's not as acceptable.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't ever want to lose that much power that we had to shut everything. Like, I think everything should shut down because
Yeah.
it's just go, 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 go all the damn time. And I don't know. It's my opinion. I could care less either way, but
I don't think I could care less. I think that to me personally, as far as the hunting goes, it doesn't matter to me as far as the hunting goes.
yeah,
But I think that there does need to be, I do think that there is a real valid argument for people that like to have it on a Monday because they spent a weekend getting to know the people around town and having the full camp experience versus like just rush
the
hour.
other thing, I don't feel that the quality of hunting is better because I mean, over the past couple of years, our bear population has boomed, and we get a
Yeah.
lot of bear hunters now. And you get big gangs of guys pushing bear,
Yeah.
driving side hills, and now that's what Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Then you have Wednesday, Thanksgiving, Thursday or Friday, and then you're hunting Saturday. So there's like no time for them to chill out,
Yeah.
and then they're in the thick shit, and
Yeah.
like I don't know. I don't think the hunting quality has gotten better. We've got more opportunities to go out, but I think that's about it.
Yeah. And maybe that's just something that we need to do as hunters is just make the culture shift, like
Even
whatever it is
even if we
to,
switch it up like every other year,
yeah.
hey, let's start Saturday, or like I said, I will like a Sunday opener. So at least we get that one day
Yeah.
in camp.
We got up there. I got up there on Friday night, but they got there Friday morning and, got to chill out and have fun on Friday and do their thing. And it's just something that I think that you need to, like you said, is a priority shift. Like, hey, my priority is when we get there, we're chilling.
Yeah.
So maybe that's, do your grocery shopping on Monday, even though you don't get to do it all together. So you can actually spend time in camp.
Or look at it like, well, so we'll meal prep and everybody brings meals and stuff
Yeah.
now. But now like that week coming up, where you got turkey and all that, or Thanksgiving and stuff, you're rushing around with that and trying to get groceries and stuff, and especially for me, like trying to get everything to host everybody, it's a
Yeah.
lot of stress, a
Yeah.
lot more going on. I'd rather not have to do that and have a couple days up there to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you said, it's coming, and that's what we do. We might start doing like, let's have a party on Wednesday,
Yeah.
or it's going to rain Tuesday. Let's just all get together.
Yeah. And just kind of like ramp up there does need to be a focus on the experience versus just the hunt because everybody, like, yeah, you want to kill deer and you want to kill a lot of them. You want to kill big buck, all that stuff. But the important part of deer camp is the experience because that's the dude.
Yeah,
There is
like
nothing.
this year we had a blast. I mean, and it isn't like years ago. It was all about the drinking,
Yeah.
and like it isn't like for my experience, it isn't like that much
Yeah.
anymore. But I mean, and like I don't drink much at all, but I
Yeah.
might save it for that one night in deer camp. Like that's
Yeah.
my one year to have, or my one night to have fun.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm not really a big drinker anyway, but when I had more than one when I killed my buck
Uh
this year
huh.
because it's just like, oh man, it's just it's a good time.
Yeah.
Dude, I appreciate you. This is fun, man, because I don't get to do these live very often. So,
Yeah.
and we got to
No,
have some good
I appreciate you
conversation.
having me. This has
Yeah.
been a blast.
So we're gonna get upstairs and we're gonna cook some food and
Well, hell yeah.
we're gonna experience pre-summer scouting camp or something, you know?
Sounds good, buddy.
Dude, good to have you,
Yeah,
man.
man. Thanks a lot, man. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for today. Thanks for tuning in to In Camp Podcast. Go ahead and check out Howie Miller on Instagram at Howie_H2_Miller. I think you'll really enjoy the content that he has. This guy spends so much time in the woods, and you have something to learn from him. Trust me. Uh, Go ahead and give us a review, share the show around. Either way, like I said, it's more important that you just keep coming back week after week. I really appreciate you listening. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and either message me on Instagram at incamp_podcast, or you can email me at incamppodcast@gmail.com. Looking forward to some more episodes with you. We've got a couple good ones coming out in the near future. Thanks again. I appreciate it. This is In Camp Podcast.